Congratulations to this wonderful film.
Thank you.
I watched this on the screener, but I was impressed. I'm a cineast, so I love the Superlace, and I'm glad to watch it with you again on the big screen. Before we talk about Astronaut, I read that you were the winner of Jets Initiative in 2017.
Yes.
And this project with Jessica Adams and you was the competition.
Yes.
And has it something to do with Astronaut?
Same project.
It's the same project?
Yeah. We just had to change the name. I changed the name because, we had to, because when I was working, the first day of working with Richard Dreyfuss, he wandered onto the set, and you know Richard, so you know he's came onto the set cool as a cucumber, and he said, you know, you're going to have to change the name. And I said, why? Mm-hmm. And he said, because I did a movie called The Competition 25 years ago. And I said, oh, Richard, nobody's going to remember that. And he said, they will. And I went, okay, well, we'll think of a new name. So we had a competition on the set while we were shooting in minus 30 degrees. I'll have you know, it was a very, very cold shoot. And the crew went around and they put their names in a hat. And I came up with the name, and I said, let's call it Astronaut. Mm-hmm. And Richard, I went up to Richard and said, Richard, I think we're going to call the film Astronaut. And he said, tell me why. And I said, because it means sailor to the stars. And he went, yeah, I like it. That's good. Yeah, we'll have it. Yeah. So that was it. So it's called Astronaut.
He's really in the film a sailor to the stars. So how did you make it that you brought him back to the big screen? He's one of the most amazing actors I know. The youngest Oscar winner in the history of the Academy Awards. Before Adrian Brody came with The Pianist for the Goodbye Girl, he won in 1978. But Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, American Graffiti, all classics.
Once Around, one of my favourite Lasse Hallström movies. Once Around.
Yeah, wonderful. So, did you know him before, or you sent him the screenplay? Tell me.
Well, we took a long time to get this movie made, obviously, because it's my first film, and it's tough. And everybody, although I'm known as an actor, I'm not known as a director. So I had to go around the world asking people for money. And they would say, who the hell are you? And I said, well, you know, I've been an actor for 35 years. So when we got the money, I said to my agent, Jennifer Goldhar, who's a brilliant agent in Canada at Characters, who the hell are we going to get to play Angus? And we thought of lots of actors. And she said, what about Richard Dreyfuss? And I said, well, he'll never do it. I mean, he's Richard Dreyfuss. He'll never do it. And he's way too young. And she said, well, I know his manager. And I went, well, I mean, yeah, but he's going to say he doesn't know who I am. And she said, let me try it. So she sent the script to his manager and his agent in New York. And the manager wrote to Jessica Adams, our brilliant producer, and said, cute script. I'll send it on to Richard. And Richard then read it, and Stella, his wife, read it. And then we had our first Zoom, or Skype in those days, two years ago. And I was in Toronto, staying with my sister, and he was in New Orleans shooting a movie. And we had this conversation. We really didn't talk about the film. We talked about our favourite science fiction writer, because I'm a mad science fiction freak.
What is your favourite writer? Sorry to
interrupt. Robert Heinlein was my favourite writer, and I
Revolt on Luna. This is the German title.
Yeah. What was it called? Well, the German title? How do you say it in German?
Revolte auf Luna. Revolte auf Luna.
Now translated.
Rebellion.
One of his, But my favourite book that he wrote was a little-known book called Time for the Stars. And it was about, I won't tell you, but anyway, Richard had also read this book, and so we just talked about that. Anyway, we had another Skype a week later, and Jessica and I were kind of dancing around the question, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Does he want to do it? We kept saying, it'll be great, there's donkeys and there's a spaceship, and he said, what's the budget? So we told him the budget, which is a bit of a secret, but it's very, very small. And he said, you're going to do this film for how much? And I said, but Rich, it'll be great, because, we've got a lovely rocket drawn, and it's going to be really nice, and you'll be good. But we couldn't actually bring ourselves to say, Richard, will you will you do this? And finally, I think he was waiting for us to say that. And finally he said, well, so when do we start? And that was it. I mean, and I couldn't believe it, but I was very lucky. We were very lucky. Because he's a superb actor.
Absolutely amazing. And when I talked to him, also on the Skype video call, the interview for 1 hour, I never, he was like my age, for me, yeah, like a young man. But in the film, he is acting like an old man, yeah, older than he is really, yeah. So this is also interesting how he created this character. But would you also agree that Astronaut is more than a generation or family drama than a science fiction film?
It's a good question. If you speak to Laura, our aunt Laura, we've had a conversation about this. You know, would they send a 75-year-old frail man to space? Are they ready to go to Mars yet? Well, they're getting pretty close. So I tend to write stuff that is a human story, but with a little bit of science fiction going on. So I think it's a human drama, but it does have elements of fairy tale to it, tipping into science fiction, and I like that kind of that balance. So I don't really know how to answer it. I think it's probably more a human story because it's about endeavour, and it's about this person, this old man who is desperate for another go at life, and how he unknowingly almost unites his family and all the residents in the nursing home to go on this adventure with him. And my mother, I don't know if you know the genesis of the story, but my mum died in a nursing home. And it was all right. And I love my mum. And in the nursing home gardens, there was this old man in a wheelchair. And he was always staring up at the sky. And he would never come in. He was literally in the rain, and the nurses would drag him back in when night fell. And one day I sat next to him and I said, what is it that you're looking for up there? What do you want? And he said, another go. And it kind of broke my heart. And I thought, that's how I started working on Angus. I thought, what had he wanted in his life that he hadn't achieved? Why has he just been left to his dreams to dwindle like dust? And so I started developing the character. And Richard came along, and he just kind of, he's just such a brilliant actor, because you don't see the performance. So working with him, I'm an actor, so I'm very comfortable working with actors, you know. And but just watching him and how he connects to the camera and how he finds the heart of that character, is the way he walks and the way he moves. He's just brilliant, wonderful.
As you said, you're an actress, and but you always had the plan to become also a director, because you're a young filmmaker. Normally we don't name the age of a lady, but we can say now you're 60 and this is your debut, film, debut feature film. So you always wanted to be also a director?
Well, I knew when I was about 30. I'd gone to stage school as a young girl, so I trained as an actor as a young girl, and I went on stage, and then I did and then I did a big Dennis Potter film, which won the Italia Prix, and it was sort of helped me as an actor, and I went to Hollywood. But I knew when I was about 35 that I wanted to step behind the camera, but kind of like we're talking, you know, a while ago now, and it was quite hard to do for a woman. You know, I think I hadn't even worked. I think I'd worked with one female director by then, and I've done lots and lots and lots of films and TVs. You know, and so I didn't really have the confidence to do it. But then, when I was doing a show, I went back to university and I did a degree in film, and then I did a master's degree in writing and film, and I thought I made 3 short films, and I thought, I got to do this, and I wrote the script and worked very hard on the script, and you know, met Jessica, and it's meeting the right producer, it's meeting the right team, and that was the beginning of asking people for money.
And now you like to go on with directing?
I've got another project already that was Nexus, and it was I wrote it, and then I got chosen by the Meryl Streep Writers Lab which I took place in the year before last, and workshopped the script, and it's funded by sponsored by Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep, and it's for women over 40, and it's one of the most amazing things I've ever done. And I knew then that it was chosen out of quite a lot of scripts, so I thought this is a story I love, and fingers crossed we shoot next year.
So can you name me now 5 of your all-time favorite science fiction films?
Sure. 2001.
Also my all-time favorite film.
And I just watched it the other day, and it's still as good as it is.
I watched it 103 times.
Oh my God,
and most of it in cinema. I showed it in 70mm and talked to the audience
such
3
a great
times.
film. The master.
Yeah, this is the best.
I was very influenced by Tarkovsky's Solaris.
Wow, I love it also.
I was blown away by it. It was long, but I just was mesmerised by it. I think Moon by Duncan Jones is a superb film. I think Contact, of course, I've got to make it 6 or 7. I think Interstellar is brilliant, and I have seen that film possibly about 70 times because I love it. Contact, I mean, pretty much, obviously movies like Alien, of course, but they're more horror, science fiction. But I think anything that has a human story but is dealing with something that is beyond, I find very exciting and thrilling to watch. And I actually just watched Ad Astra again for the second time, and I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I thought he was wonderful in it. Yeah.
I love
Mention more.
Fahrenheit 451.
Of course.
My all-time favorite actor, Oscar Werner, from Austria. He was from Vienna.
Yeah. What else do you like? What other one?
Other films I like. My all-time favorite actor is Oscar Werner. I love all of his films. My 2001 Ship of Fools and Lord Jim are my 3 all-time favorite films. Lord Jim is starring Peter O'Toole. Ship of Fools is the last film of Vivien Leigh and Oscar Werner and Simone Signoret in this film. It says everything about the human mankind.
Yeah.
And then 2001 Space Odyssey. And then on position 4 is A Clockwork Orange. I love it a lot.
Brilliant
It's a film about the free will for me.
Yeah, sure.
And then another film was Oscar Werner, Decision Before Dawn. It's from 1951. It's the only neo-realistic Hollywood film for me.
Right.
Shot in the ruins of Germany after the Second World War. It's shot 1950. And with Oscar Werner as an idealistic young soldier who wants to finish the war. And then he spied for the United States, because one of his friends was killed, a German friend, and then he say, okay, I spy for them, maybe we can interrupt the war with it. This is an amazing film.
I must tell you one quick story.
Please.
2001. I did a series in 1984 with Keir Delay, who was the lead in 2001. Lovely man. And I have a funny story because it was a soap. It was kind of like a nighttime. We shot it in Canada, and I had this enormous part, and it was a very fast show, like 80 pages sometimes a day. It was ridiculous. And Keir and I played his assistant, and he's a really funny guy, really nice man. And I was struggling to learn the lines, and I suddenly noticed that Keir had put the script all over, like taped it. And I said, Keir, can I share that? Those were my lines up there. He said, Sheila, there's just too much to learn. And I went, okay, great. So in the end, we did this show together. And we were literally, don't tell anybody, we were literally like looking over each other's shoulder and going, yeah, that's my line. Okay, anyway, blah, 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 blah. But he was a sweet and nice man. I couldn't bring up 2001 too much, but I did say to him it was my favourite film. Every film has emulated it, copied it. It was just so ahead of its, and still is ahead of its time. Which is, I went to the Stanley Kubrick exhibition in London recently, and it was fascinating how fastidious he was when he worked. It was I bought the book and everything, but he was a absolutely pedantic, particular person. He controlled everything. He was extremely. There was a funny story that I was watching on the Kubrick films that he obviously The Shining with Jack Nicholson, and there's a tape of Jack Nicholson talking about working with Stanley Kubrick, and he said, I said to Kubrick, I really like to be real. I've got to be real. I've got to be truthful. My characters, but you want me to carry a bat up, swinging it at my wife as he walks up the stairs in The Shining. And Kubrick turned to him and said, yes, you've got to be truthful, but you've also got to be interesting. It's such a great thing to say to Jack Nicholson, you know.
I'm honored to be, since 1999, a friend of the Kubrick family.
Oh,
I visited Christiane and Jan Harlan,
yeah.
and I could see his grave. Yeah, I was there in the house, and then it's a big park, and Christiane allowed me to see the grave. There's just written Stanley Kubrick 1928 to 1999, you shall never be forgotten, that's all. And I was there with my girlfriend in that time. We didn't make a picture, she also told me, just remember it, yeah. So it was really amazing. His wife is German, you know, she was in Pairs of Glory, the only woman in the film in the end sequence.
Yeah, she told
and it was love on the first sight between them. So I know many stories, but it's wonderful that you shot with care. I talked to Gary Lockwood, the other astronaut in 2000. He's also a smart guy. And has a beautiful daughter, Samantha, and she was also working with Jack Nicholson, so all come together.
It all comes together, yeah, it does.
Thank you for this wonderful conversation, for the YouTube channel The Spirit Meets. Shelagh McLeod, the director of this wonderful film Astronaut. Starring Richard Dreyfuss, one of my all-time favorite actors, especially in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And maybe the last sentence, do you think in some way he's also with Astronaut coming back to Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Well, he suggested it, not me. I would never compare myself to Spielberg, and my name in the same sentence is a bit, I feel like, no, I can't possibly. But, well, I suppose it's perhaps a form of closure, because, you know, he gets his trip, he goes off, and there he is. I don't know how long ago that movie was made, 80-something, 82. But there he is, and I think to show Richard in this film being the brilliant actor he is, I just can't believe how lucky I was, and long may he continue to do great work, because he's one of the best actors in the world.
Absolutely, I agree, complete. Thank you again.
Okay, nice to meet you anyway.
Nice to meet you.